Good morning, everyone. My name is Kelsey Balanceifer. I'm the event coordinator and publication editor for the Astoria-Warrenton Area Chamber of Commerce. We're so thrilled that everyone decided to join us this morning. Thank you so much for taking time out of your workday to join us. And hopefully you've been enjoying networking so far. You'll notice when you arrive on the Remo platform, you get placed at a table. Feel free to move around to different tables during the networking feature, which will start back up again after the presentation. Just double click on any table if you'd like to move to a different table. If you haven't already, in the general chat function, drop in your name and what business you're with, just so we can see who all is here. To bring up the chat window on the side of your screen, there should be a button on the bottom of your screen that says chat. So if you stick around for networking again after the presentation, when you join a table, be sure to introduce yourself to the other members of your table. Make sure you've got your camera turned on and your microphone turned on. Again, those buttons are on the bottom of your screen. If you're not the one talking at your table, however, it is great to keep that microphone off just to cut down on feedback and noise loop. So we're going to start our presentation here. And like I said, we'll have a few minutes for networking again at the end of the program. During the presentation, feel free to drop any questions you might have in that general chat box. Our speakers are here on the Remo platform live, so they can see some of those questions, and we might be able to get those answered towards the end of the presentation. So without further ado, I'm going to turn things over to Executive Director David Reed, and he's going to have a couple of quick announcements for everybody, and also welcome everybody to this month's networking breakfast. David, if you're there.
I am here. So thank you very much for joining us, everybody. This is a new platform for us. We tried it out last month. Glad that you could all join us and make it a little bit more robust conversation. We're going to continue this this platform for as long as it's needed and as long as it helps. I kind of like it. I like the fact that you can move around and talk to people at the networking tables, but as Kelsey said, you can't make a general announcement to the group. So feel free to put those things in the chat. If we see them as we're making the presentation, we'll amplify those pieces of information out there. But first and foremost, I want to thank Pacific Power for they've been a longtime sponsor of our chamber breakfast. They have always provided the coffee for everybody. They are not able to provide your coffee this morning. You're on your own for that, but they are sponsoring this platform. So it gives us the opportunity to stay together and stay in conversation. And this platform, by the way, is available for other things. So if you have things that are coming up that we can help with, or that are chamber things, let us know, because we don't have to just use it for chamber breakfast. So keep that in mind, and let's see if we can make better use of this platform. So Pacific Power, thank you again. I just talked to Elisa. She's at one of the tables out there. So when we get back to networking, seek her out and tell her thank you. She did remind me, or let me know, that the Pacific Power during the middle of this whole COVID thing has told people that they're not going to shut their power off for being late on payments. You just have to contact them. That grace has been extended so that it's still going on. And so again, if you know somebody who's having trouble paying their power bill, have them just make sure they reach out to Pacific Power. They can call Elisa directly, or they can just get a hold of Pacific Power and let them know that they're having a problem, and they'll be extended some grace period and some help. So that's great to know. Pacific Power has always been a great partner in the community. So again, as Kelsey said, stick around for networking afterwards. Seek out others to talk to. So do bounce around to those tables. Particularly if you see somebody sitting alone out there, that's just sad. Go see them, talk to them. Don't forget to turn on your camera. But we are really excited to have our speakers today. We're excited to have all of you here today. Please pass along how this went to not only to us, give us some feedback on it, but let other chamber members that you know about this platform and that we're doing this again. And I think I would like to kind of throw it over to Jerry, who's going to tell you about our newest chamber members.
I am.
All right. I'll leave you to it.
All right. Good morning, everybody. So we've got a great new group of members. We're just going to start off with Brumfield Gallery, Mike Brumfield over there. They're at 1033 Marine Drive. Beautiful and spacious gallery, so you got to go check them out. Red Leaf Organic Coffee. Now they're inside the TLC over in Warrenton. new concept. You got to stop in there and get some coffee. Kiana Rich, and she's brewing up great coffee, organic coffee there. The Astoria Birth Center, that is opening on August 1st. So that is something new to town. 1406 Marine Drive. That's Rebecca Orton. Tractor Supply just opened up. We had a ribbon cutting for them just a couple days ago, and great store. You're going to want to go check them out. Great selection. Jeremy Gordon is over there as the manager. Columbia River Adventure Boats just joined. That's Aaron Schlosser, and he's over in the West Mooring Basin. Guns and Boots and Gear, great shop. Neil Christensen's in there. A lot of great outdoor gear. You want to check that out. He's over on 248 West Marine Drive. A-Town Coffee just joined us. Heather Jensen, and she's got her daughter in there running it. It's a great little coffee shop. Stop by and see her. Partners for the Pack just joined us, and then we also have Lower Columbia Youth Soccer Association. That's with Monica Steele. So new members joining all the time. We thank you for joining. We welcome you to the chamber, and I'm going to turn it back over to the team here.
Thanks, Jerry. Appreciate that update on the new members. Always exciting to see those new members, new businesses that come aboard the chamber. So we're very thankful for their commitment to our business community in this area. So I have one more quick announcement, and then we're going to kick things off with our speakers. So you may have heard that the Great Columbia Crossing is going virtual this year, but we are still offering our popular Clam Bucks program to our participants. It's just going to be in a slightly different format. So because the race is virtual this year and people can run their 10K or for the first time ever their 5K in their own neighborhood, in their own backyard, on their own treadmill, we are going to be offering a digital version of Clam Bucks as well, which fits the virtual format a little bit better than the wooden tokens you may remember from years past. So what it's going to be is a Clam Bucks coupon book. So it'll be sent in a digital format to all of our participants. We're hoping it's going to be a really great treasure trove of deals, perks, vouchers, whatever a local business might want to offer. We are encouraging these folks to continue to come patronize our local businesses, even though the race isn't happening physically this year. Many of our race participants over the years are longtime supporters of our events and our community. So we wanted to give them the opportunity to support the business community during this time. So if you are interested in learning more about the Clam Bucks coupon book and how your business might be able to take part in that, send me an email or give me a call after the breakfast. Kelsey@oldoregon.com is my email address. Feel free to reach out to me if you're interested in learning more about how the Clam Bucks coupon book could work for your business and get your name out there to all of our race participants. So that's it for me for the announcements. So now I'm going to give a quick introduction, and then we'll be joined by our speakers. So today we have Eileen Schreiner and Berenice Jones-Centeno from the Oregon Cultural Trust. So the Oregon Cultural Trust, like the public beaches and the bottle bill, is one of Oregon's great ideas. Using a cultural tax credit program, citizens can direct public dollars toward support of over 1,400 cultural nonprofits and organizations across the state. So you can learn more this morning about how this innovative program supports your local organizations and how you can participate. So, trust manager since 2014, Eileen sees culture as a critical lens to understanding place and identity and to imagine a better future. Following graduation, summa cum laude from Lewis and Clark College, Eileen has built a career in research, development, and programming for cultural nonprofits and cultural agencies. Eileen coordinates the Trust's grant programs, marketing and development, technical assistance, and provides ongoing programmatic assessment and impact measurements. And joining her this morning is Berenice Jones-Centeno, who holds graduate degrees in music and arts administration and is completing her PhD in musicology at the University of Oregon, where she served as assistant grant writer, taught a variety of courses, and presented outreach projects on behalf of the University of Oregon, Oregon Bach Festival, Eugene Opera, and other community organizations. Berenice also serves as an instructor of voice studies and opera workshop at the Oregon State University. She has previously served Eugene Opera in a variety of capacities, including president of the board of directors, stage director for the Artist Mentor Program, chair of the Education Committee, and interim director of Education and Community Engagement. She's also co-founder and artistic director of Chicago's Genesis Opera and co-founder and artistic director of the Eugene's Cascadia Concert Opera. So without further ado, here are Eiley and Barinas to share more about the Oregon Cultural Trust. So I'm sure they've got a really great program lined up for you guys today. So we're gonna be really excited to hear from them. Uh-oh, looks like somebody lost feed. Barinas and Eiley, are you able to join in at the bottom of the screen there? All right, there should be a cam on button and mic on button at the bottom of your screens for Barinas and Eiley. That should get you looped in here. Ah, there we go. Morning, Eiley.
Morning. Thank you so much for the invitation to join you, and I hope you'll bear with us as we navigate what I am finding to be very cool technology. Kudos, everyone. So Barinas and I are thrilled to be here, and I'm going to kick off our presentation on who the Oregon Cultural Trust is and what we do. And I'm going to experiment with sharing a video from our website before I launch into our presentation. So let's see if I can do this. Oh no.
Eiley, are you able to click the share screen button and do it that way?
No, it's not letting me. Let's see. Oh, wait, here we go.
There you go.
Yeah. Thank you all for bearing with me. Okay. So I'm going to play this video really quickly to just give you a quick overview of the Cultural Trust. Let's see. There's no volume to it. At least I don't think there is. Well, maybe there is. We'll find out.
It looks like it does not want to play, does it?
Oh, I watched it. Did no one else see it?
No. See if.
Oh, bummer. Okay. Well, so much for that experiment. Let's just get right.
Drop the link into the chat function. Everybody will be able to view it after the event.
Okay, cool. So it's just on the home page of our website, and there's actually two videos there. And I will pop that in. And one is the one that I just watched all by myself, enjoyed it very much. So sorry about that. And then another is how the cultural tax credit works. So let me just pop into the PowerPoint and let me ask you, oops. Can everyone see this?
So you might have to go full screen presentation mode with your PowerPoint.
Okay. I thought I had, let's see, let's try.
Do you have two monitors working?
No, just the one.
Just the one monitor?
Mm-hmm. And you can't see the presentation?
Can you minimize your your browser and see if the...
Yeah. How's that?
So on your screen, does it look like the PowerPoint is up?
Yes.
Okay, it is not showing up like that on our screen.
Oh gosh. Okay. Well, let me try turning off shared screen and then turning it back on. Let's try this.
Oh, now we can see it.
Now you can, okay. Okay, brilliant. All right, let's see if I can pull up the PowerPoint. Can you see the PowerPoint now?
I can see. It looks like the Oregon Cultural Trust website.
You guys, I'm so sorry. Thank you for bearing with us on this. So, so when I go into, so it seems like it's letting me show tabs, but not letting me actually share my screen. Maybe if I do this. No. Okay, sorry. So Kelsey, quick question. It says share your screen, and it says I have to choose either your entire screen, application window, and neither of those are allowing me to share. But when I go to Chrome tab, I can share that. So it lets me share, and then I have to choose between the Chamber and the Cultural Trust website.
We are trying to troubleshoot here on our end. We did test this yesterday to see if we could get that to work, and for whatever reason, we did not have an issue with it yesterday. Technology never works how you need it to when you want it to.
Yeah.
Up there a minute ago. She's able to.
Was it up there?
Yeah, Marinas has got your presentation up there for you.
Oh. That's good news. Can anyone else see the PowerPoint presentation, the homepage? Okay, I see a yes. Yes, okay, cool. Okay, I'm gonna get started there. I'm gonna go with yes.
Yeah, so it looks
Awesome.
like Barina's has it up on her screen, and for those who are tuning in, there should be a little icon in the upper right-hand corner of Barina's screen that says full screen, so that's how you can watch the slide presentation in a little bit larger format.
Awesome. I'm seeing a series of yeses, so I'm gonna go for it. Okay. If my PowerPoint lets me, there we go. Okay. Well, good morning again. My name is Eiley Schreiner. I'm the trust manager of the Oregon Cultural Trust, and joining me this morning is our much beloved board member, Berenice Jones-Centeno, and we're going to tag team this presentation a little bit. And we're really appreciative of the Chamber's invitation to come and talk to you about, as the intro suggested, what we think is one of Oregon's great ideas up there with the bottle bill and the beach bill as a way of preserving the values that Oregonians share and how we support the things that are important to us. And the trust was created to do exactly that. So about 20 years ago, a bunch of legislators got together and said, you know, we need to make sure that the arts and heritage and preservation and the humanities and all the organizations that work to bring the role of that into our lives, that they have support that's meaningful and sustained and impactful. So our mission is to lead Oregon in cultivating, growing, and valuing culture as an integral part of communities. So I wanted to take the time this morning to explain, well, how do we actually do that? You know, what's the process? And then also, you know, what does the trust look like in Clatsop County? And I'm really grateful that we have both Charlene and Janet with us this morning, who are your local leaders with the Clatsop County Cultural Coalition and who can speak to the work that they do. So, who are we? Well, the Cultural Trust is a state agency in the Arts and Culture Department in Business Oregon, which is your state's economic development agency. And our purpose is to raise dollars through a cultural tax credit and then to give those dollars away in the form of grants to cultural organizations all across the state of Oregon. And we have, over the 20 years that we've been around, become a critical part of Oregon's cultural ecology. Our grants and our board of directors, such as Verinas, really champion the work that cultural organizations do and how we all collectively invest in them so that they provide the creative expression and cultural exchange that we know is how we know who we are as people and come together over shared values and make a difference. And I think the latest accomplishment of the Partners for the PAC and the ownership of that building is a great example of, you know, the kind of work that we're here to support. So the other way that the Trust helps support Oregon's cultural ecology is that we provide funds and coordinate support for the state agencies who also do this work. And those include the Oregon Arts Commission and the Oregon State Historic Preservation Office. For any of you who own or love historic buildings, you know how important they are. The Oregon Heritage Commission, the organization Oregon Humanities, who lead conversation projects around the state that you might be familiar with. And of course, the state's historical society, the Oregon Historical Society. And what we are most proud of, I think, too, is that we are, through our existence and through the tax credit program, we're able to provide grants to county coalitions. So every county in Oregon receives funds from the Trust every year about this time that they in turn re-grant back out to the community based on their cultural plan, which takes into account, you know, what are the cultural assets of the community? Who's doing the important work and how can we support them with grant dollars? We also provide that same support to Oregon's federally recognized tribes. And we have a list of the over 1,400 cultural nonprofits that operate in Oregon. Oregon is very rich with cultural nonprofits such as Partners for the PAC and the Liberty Theater, you know, who make the meaningful work in our lives through their work. So, all right, let's get down to the nitty-gritty. How do we actually, where do these funds come from? Well, they come from you and I when we make our charitable contributions at the end of the year to the nonprofits that really matter to us. In my case, I have a lot of organizations that I give funds to. My membership at Oregon Public Broadcasting, for example. I give support to an organization in Portland that uses the arts as a way to engage with homeless youth and to give them a point of reference. And so what I do is at the end of the year, which is typically when we make our charitable contributions, I tabulate how much did I give out this year. And then I look and I say, okay, let's say I gave $1,000 worth of contributions. I can make then a gift to the Oregon Cultural Trust of the same amount, $1,000. Okay, why would I do that? Well, one, because I believe in the Cultural Trust and I believe in providing access to arts and culture to every community in Oregon. And I know that if I give dollars to the Cultural Trust, we can help make that happen. But the other reason why I do this is because in Oregon, there is a cultural tax credit. This is not a deduction. This is a full out credit. So basically, the state of Oregon has agreed to, for every dollar that you give to the trust, give you, the donor, a tax credit for that amount. So when I give $1,000 to cultural nonprofits around the state, and then I give $1,000 to the Cultural Trust, when I do my taxes, I find the line where it says cultural tax credit, I write in $1,000, and bingo, my taxes for the state of Oregon just went down by $1,000. It's a tax credit. So that's how we raise our money. It's basically an agreement between the state of Oregon and the Cultural Trust and you as donors and as taxpayers in Oregon to say, I want some of my tax dollars to go to funds for arts and culture and heritage organizations around the state. And it works really well. Try it once, talk to people who you know have done it, and you'll see that it actually works. And this is what we're able to do with those funds. We were able to, in our fiscal year 2020, which just ended at the beginning of July, we were actually able to raise $4.5 million through Oregonians just like you and I, making gifts to cultural nonprofits and then making a matching gift to the trust, which is outstanding. And what that allows us to do in that same year, we were able to give out $2.7 million in grants. We have a couple of grant programs. We have a program called the Cultural Development Grant, and I know there are organizations represented by individuals in the room today who have received these grants and who can tell you about what that process is like and how they were able to use those grants. The Astoria Scandinavian Heritage Plaza project, for example, I believe has received these grants before. Certainly the Liberty Theater has received many of these grants for all of the restoration projects. Of course, as I mentioned, that money also went out to all of Oregon's counties and tribes for them to give out grants. And in the last fiscal year, that meant that 473 local projects received funding because of the grant making that the county and tribal coalitions made. And of course, we had some funds to give to our statewide cultural partners. And those funds are used to augment their grant programs. For example, the Heritage Commission and SHPO run a program called Diamonds in the Rough, which is a special program that identifies buildings of important meaning and that needs some extra TLC, and they get funds through the funds that the trust gives to them to help make those projects possible. And then we have a permanent fund. It's our rainy day fund. We always put a certain percentage of the funds we raise every year. And for over the last 20 years, that has actually turned into $31 million. And that permanent fund plays an important role every day in the trust. Some of the trust administrative budget is paid for through the interest and investment income from that amount, so that we're able to be self-sustaining as much as we possibly can. And it also is a potential source of funds for when there's a desperate need for help. And with COVID-19, the Trust Board of Directors did suggest to the legislature that they could use some of these funds for emergency grants. I'm going to talk a little bit more about that at the end of the presentation because the state legislature came up with a different plan and even more money to give to cultural nonprofits, but that's coming later. So this is an example of what happens in any given year when you participate in this cultural tax credit program. I wanted to show this slide. This came from a report that we did a couple of years ago to look at, okay, what does the Cultural Trust look like in action? And is it doing what it was designed to do? And the answer, thankfully, is yes, it is. This just shows you how donors from across the state, and I'm really proud to say we have donors from every county in Oregon. Of course, in those communities with larger population sizes, we have more donors. But every county in Oregon, there are donors who give. But what we're able to do is through our funding through our funding programs, we're able to distribute more of that outside of the Portland metro area. So we basically pool funds from across the state and then regrant funds back out across the state in a way that really, yes, supports the Portland metro areas, but more than half of these funds actually get distributed outside of that area so that we are able to make important grants in all the counties, from Clatsop to Malheur, from Wallowa County to Curry County. Here's another way of looking at that. You can look at the amount of grants that we've given out. And this is a very technical type of slide, but this is one that we find that legislators appreciate seeing. You know, yes, we give out more grants in the higher populated areas of the state, but if you broke it down per capita, you know, how much money is given out depending on who lives in the state, you'll see that the investment becomes larger on the east side of the state where the population sizes are smaller. So the per capita investment from the trust in, let's say, Wallowa County is much higher than in Multnomah County or Washington County. And that is by design. The idea is that Oregonians come together, pool their funds through this cultural tax credit program, and then we're able to redistribute it out so that there is access to arts and culture in every community in Oregon. So here in Clatsop County, these are 2018 figures. I can update this if anyone's interested, but this is an example of how much funding has gone out through grants to Clatsop County. We're looking at, I think that number is larger now, but $370,000. And in 2018, there were 67 donors from Clatsop County who gave $32,900 and received $32,900 in tax credits. So you can kind of get a sense as to what the ratio looks like between investment coming from Clatsop County into the trust and then out through grants. These are some examples of organizations who've received those cultural development awards that I was talking about earlier, the Astoria Scandinavian Heritage Association. I know we've got Judith and Janet in the room today who can speak to that. The Liberty Restoration, that's the theater, of course. Tillicum Foundation, the amazing radio station and group that does important work. The Maritime Museum, and of course the tribes here. So you can see that these are the types of organizations who have benefited from these grants. And then here are some examples of the grants that the Clatsop County Cultural Coalition gave in fiscal year 2018 to show you what the grant making on the smaller scale looks like. Barinas, did you want to pop in at any point and talk a bit about your work as a board member here and the impact that you've seen of the trust? I don't know if I'm in speaker mode, if she's able to chime in.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
You can. You can hear me. Oh, okay. All right. So the only thing I would really like to add in there, as a board member, our duty is to basically try to augment what the trust manager, Eiley, does and represent our communities. And so it's my pleasure to be a person on both sides of this, to be Eiley's backup, as it were, out here in Astoria. I was really honored when the then trust president came up and talked to us about the work of the trust. And she was so concerned, her name is Carol Morris, she was very concerned that there was not enough representation in rural communities like ours. And that was back in 2017. I'm thrilled and proud to be able to say that the energy of the trust and its board has really grown the membership and the representation statewide. I've definitely had conversations with some of you about, golly, it looks like Portland gets everything. Well, I'm happy to say that that's not true anymore. They have, and Eiley has really been very, very influential in making sure these conversations are reaching far and wide. And I'm really proud to be a part of that. And I'm happy to see the work that grows. And I'm going to just repeat what Eiley has already told you. The reason you want to do this is because if you're like me, you want to give to every single organization that's out there. But I don't have the funds to support what's going on in, Klamath Falls. I don't have the wherewithal on my own to support everyone, but I do have enough where I can give to the groups that are local to me and then give some more to the trust, get it back, which is amazing. And the trust then makes sure that this money goes far and wide. It's sort of a no-brainer, everyone. Give what you can, double it, get it back, and watch it grow. I mean, talk about sowing your seeds. This is one of the best ways to really make that growth. And like Eiley has already mentioned, we see regularly the effect of what this the trust does in our own backyard. And so while we want to be selfish and be pleased about what happens in our own backyard, it really helps our whole state. The other one little thing that I wanted to add, this is such a rare, we're one of the few places, I think, are we still the only place, Eiley, that is receiving this tax credit statewide?
Yes, this is the way that we do this work is unique in the country. No other state has this program, even though lots of states have been approaching us lately to ask us more about, well, how does this work exactly? Because they like what they see.
Yeah, and I think that that's important for us to realize. Our activity, our meaning your and mine, the single person at a time, taking advantage of this tax credit is a major statement to our legislators that we want this to happen, and we want to continue this thing in our state because it is very unique to us, and it's important that we take advantage of it so that folks do. So that our legislators do take it seriously and keep it going and keep supporting this process that we're doing. That's all I'm going to say, Eileen. Get back into the presentation for you.
Awesome. Cool. Well, these are my last two slides. And I think this diagram just illustrates, again, what Marinas was sharing, which is that this process is, I think, all of us working together to ensure that our dollars get multiplied and exponentially amplified so that we can reach every part of the state. And so what the report showed that we did recently and what we've known just through our own activity is that if this is our job, if the cultural tax credit and the cultural trust, if our job is to help secure funding from donors like you and I and distributing it across the state, but more importantly, also maximizing the return on those funds because all of the trust grants have a matching component to them, we're able to provide something that is stable and accessible to everyone around Oregon. And for those of you who do grant writing and who work with nonprofits, and especially cultural nonprofits, you know that stable and accessible funding is a rare beast. It is a hard thing to find. And that's why the Cultural Trust is here, is to provide exactly that, so that folks in Clatsop County know that each and every year there will be funds that come into the community that can support the work. And what that means is that the work that happens in year 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 can grow in a healthy and secure way. And that's really important for any kind of an investment, is that you want it to grow well. And that's what the trust is able to do. So that's the end of the presentation. I am going to close down and pop back in.
Eileen, before you go, we've got a couple
Yes.
of questions in the chat function. If those are some questions that you might be able to answer.
Absolutely. So Kelsey, I'll start. Listen, okay, how far up do we want to go?
I didn't see a lot of recent questions other than the last couple.
Gotcha.
So I think the last two chat options.
There we go. Okay, so one question is, well, if I'm a cultural nonprofit, how do I join? And it's really straightforward. All you have to do, and we have a frequently asked questions section of our website, but all you have to do is essentially send me an email saying, this is who we are, this is our mission, here's our nonprofit status, and we'd like to join to be one of your cultural nonprofits. And I review those quarterly, and I say, hurrah, congratulations, you're on the list. You can actually search on our website to find all of the organizations in your county or any county in Oregon. And what being on the list allows you to do is, one, to be on our radar screen. Two, by being on the list, any donation that you receive, that donor can participate in the cultural tax credit. And three, as an organization, you can apply for and receive our grants. And let me, okay, and the next question was from David, do I understand the contribution to the cultural trust must be a match? In other words, based on the contribution given to eligible organizations? Yes. And an important reason why is because we do not want to be taking dollars away necessarily from the cultural nonprofits. So you have to show or have to have given dollars to a cultural nonprofit. So let's say I gave $100 to the Liberty Theater. That they're one of my nonprofits that I support every year. Because I gave $100 to Liberty Theater, I can now give $100 to the trust and ask for the tax credit for the $100. So that's the matching part. So that you can, so what I do is I just keep track of my contributions throughout the year. At the end of the year, I take a look at that and I'm like, okay, how much did I give out? And then, and that tells me how much I can give to the trust. There is a cap to the tax credit. It's $500 for an individual or $1,000 for a couple filing jointly. So there's a limit. The state legislature did put a limit on us because we're taking tax dollars away from the general fund, although a very small amount. And so basically, it's a whole match system. The way that you stay on the list is you just will periodically, every couple of years, we'll reach out to you and be like, hey, you still around? You still operating? And it's really only until you tell us that you're not anymore that we take you off the list. We do ask you to help us spread the word about the trust, to educate people about the fact that there is a tax credit and this is how it works. But that's pretty much it. The most important thing is the work that you're doing as an organization and to provide support. So I do want to just say one last thing. I alluded to how the Cultural Trust is thinking about responding to the crisis that a lot of our arts and cultural nonprofits are finding themselves in because of COVID-19. I mean, the arts and culture, we're conveners. That's what we do. We bring people together. So for a lot of theaters, performing organizations, even museums, you know, they all had to be closed for months, and some of them remain closed, and that has created a real economic crisis in that sector. So the state legislature 2 weeks ago gave the Cultural Trust an allocation of their federal CARES dollars, $25.6 million, and said, we are charging the Cultural Trust with giving these funds out to arts and cultural nonprofits around the state to help reimburse for expenses incurred because of lost business, lost revenue due to COVID. So basically, we have to follow the U.S. Treasury guidelines. So we are working right now on putting together guidelines for this program, an application, and a review process to work with Oregon's county coalitions to give out these federal funds that are so desperately needed by arts and culture nonprofits. And I'm very proud of the fact that when the state legislature was looking to how do we get some of these federal funds out to the state of Oregon for arts and culture nonprofits, they're like, the Cultural Trust. Here's an organization that already has existing relationships with every county in Oregon and have partners who we can work with to get these funds. And I think that that is a huge testament to the work that we've been trying to do over the next 20 years. And for everyone who's interested in those funds, make sure you sign up for the Trust e-newsletter on our website, because as soon as we have that program figured out, which we hope to by the 6th of August, which is when our board meets, we will have these funds available for people to apply for. And we'll be working closely with Janet and Charlene and the Clatsop County Cultural Coalition to make these funds available in Clatsop County. Any other questions?
Well, that was a really awesome, thorough overview, Eiley and Barinas. We really appreciate you guys joining us this morning to share this information. I learned a ton this morning, so I'm very thankful for that. We will have this recording available as well, so that folks who maybe weren't able to join us for breakfast this morning will be able to catch up on this information and be able to learn more about the Oregon Cultural Trust. Eiley, Barinas, thank you so much. We appreciate you guys. We really are grateful that you opted to spend part of your morning with us. Thanks for bearing with us as we sort through some technical difficulties. You guys are champs. And without further ado, Eiley and Bernice will say goodbye to you, and we'll turn things over to David, who's got a few last minute announcements.
Yep. So again, Barinas, Eiley, thank you. And the technical difficulties are exactly what we sort of are trying to iron out with this platform. You're among friends, and I'm glad everybody stuck with us. So thanks for doing it. I too learned an awful lot. Henry did have one more question. He asked, how do you maintain status on the list? Did you answer that already? Do the roles get culled every once in a while? Does an organization need to keep reapplying?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think I answered it, but I'm happy to kind of circle back, which is basically once you're on the list, you stay on the list until you tell us otherwise. And so we've got people who've been on the list for 20 years now, and you know, we're here specifically to support you. So we want to keep in contact with you and have you participate with us for as long as you're doing your work.
Okay, very good. Ladies, thank you very much. Again, great information. If you don't mind doing the camera off, mic off, then we can go back into group mode. We're going to do a little bit, 2 minutes more of networking for everybody. And Katrina has an update on Tongue Point. Katrina, I don't know how to get you onto presentation mode if you weren't invited as a speaker. So if you would put that update in the general chat over there, we will all be able to do it. But I'm going to camera off and mic off myself, and then we'll go back to table view for everybody.